For 20 years, Lois Hall has had doubts that the man serving a life sentence here at Otisville State Prison is really the man who killed her daughter. Since 1989, because of a strange set of circumstances, the conviction of LeBrew Jones in the murder of Mickey Hall has also troubled me. Last year, I met with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office and told them what I knew. Within days, the case was reopened. Read the full story in the January 13th Sunday Record, and then return to Record Online and see interviews with both families.
I'm thinking now, in retrospect, I could have done something.
He left all of his faith in their hands, and they deceived him.
Footage of LeBrew's dad, a jazz legend.
The London Times said that he was the fastest drummer in the world.
And an interactive crime scene map with photos and expert analysis.
When we think about a serial homicide offender, maybe there in that he spent time with the body.
And then decide if you believe what LeBrew Jones has been saying for all these years.
I'm sick and tired of being called bitch, and I'm sick and tired of being beat up by the other women.
But she told Lois she had to go back one more time to say goodbye to her friends. 2 weeks later, Mickey's bludgeoned, mutilated body was found on a construction site near Times Square.
That was the last time I seen her, when we had an argument. And I carry that.
Lois had a memorial service for Mickey at a local church, where the minister agreed to give the eulogy.
At the end, when he was finished, he said, "So this is what I have to say. The wages of sin is death." And he closed his Bible and walked away. So, you know, it felt like somebody had punched me in the chest when he said that. Because it wasn't her sin.
In this case, I feel this officer messed up 100%.
I don't understand why they send somebody that young with no experience after I told them that there might be a gun up there, and still they let him go up there alone.
Daylene Neal and Bob Pelchat both saw their friend Carol Cross shot to death on August 10th. That day, they and Lewiston police officer Justin Kittredge accompanied Cross to pick up her children from their father, Ken Emmerich, whom they say had been beating Cross for 19 years. A tractor crashing into his barn is just one small disaster Don Wyckoff says he's seen since hiring AAA contractors to do repairs at his home. He says owner Al Verdoni hasn't finished the work he started almost a year ago, and the work he has done is a mess.
Structure here is more in jeopardy now than it was before he'd gotten involved.
Wyckoff agreed to pay Verdoni more than $10,000 for the job, which involved in part putting in a concrete wall or foundation to shore up the barn.
Instead of any kind of a concrete foundation, what we have is a sonotube that's slowly sinking.
His contract also specified 4 steel girders. Instead, he got these.
What we have is 2 that are holding up the barn right now and 1 laying on the ground. This is supposed to be one of the steel beams. Instead, Al used nails to hold in this, whatever it is, I guess about a 2x2. And as you can see, it's impossible for it to really be holding any of the weight since there's this enormous gap between the top of it and the bottom of the building.
Because, I don't know, I can't talk to the lawyer, talk to the attorney.
Who's your lawyer?
In the past, Verdoni has avoided our cameras, but I did reach him by phone last night and told him Wyckoff is at the end of his rope. Elwell says he tried repeatedly to reach the owner, Greg Santora, who would never answer his calls.
We're talking to a young girl that answered the phone, said, I'm not here.
Tell him I'm not here?
Yeah.
How'd that make you feel?
Angry.
So Elwell contacted 8 on Your Side. We called Gold's Gym and made an appointment. But when we arrived, Santora, the owner, got angry and said this was the first he'd heard of Elwell's problem.
I'll tell you, I don't like it one single bit. All right? Not a bit. When you come in here and try to harass me and say that you're going to put negative publicity on the TV set.
Santora said he would cancel Elwell's membership immediately, then ordered us off the property.
Illegal thing. When you
The way he presents himself is horrible.
Deborah Doucette says she joined Gold's Gym for 1 year in September of 1999. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Christine Young. Across Maine and New England tonight, winds are ripping trees down, and that has left many people without electricity. This was the scene in Auburn tonight as police had to deal with winds upwards of 35 miles per hour and a biting cold. Auburn police closed off Minot Avenue as a tree crossed a power line there and snapped it. Power was still running through the line and CMP crews rushed to kill the electricity. 2 hikers are stranded tonight on Mount Washington, and New Hampshire Fish and Game officials say there's no way to immediately rescue them. The men called 911 on their cell phone around 6 p.m. and said they were having problems. Tonight they're above the tree line with winds above 150 miles per hour and white-out conditions. The Secretary of Housing and Urban Development was in Maine today. Andrew Cuomo has some good news for Maine's homeless. He says HUD will fully restore grants that were suspended last year, and Maine will receive almost $6 million. Cuomo used the occasion to tout a recent study conducted by his agency. But first, Alec Manair is here with the weather, which has been pretty crazy.
It has been a little wild, very windy out there if you got to sneak outside for a bit tonight. Some more wind.
Janine, there are certain things you might assume will be included when you're having construction work done. Things like walls, ceilings, windows, and floors, for example. But you're about to meet a woman who found out the hard way when it comes to contractors, you shouldn't take anything for granted. Spring is here. The sun is shining. The birds are singing. Finally, it's the time of year to enjoy the lovely sun porch Jan Bodwin recently added to her home. Trouble is, she can't get in. There's no door. Anywhere. And for this, she paid almost $10,000. Looking back, Mrs. Bodwin says she's glad she couldn't afford a lawyer.
So I thought of Channel 8 on your side. And then it worked. I'm real content about it. And it got things done anyway. He's going to come and open the wall. Hooray!
And Mrs. Bodwin tells us the contractor will be doing that work for her next week. To many folks here, this is the church that Jack built. Almost 20 years ago, Jack DeCoster's devotion and money helped to transform this old barn into a house of worship. Today, he only comes by occasionally, but parishioners call him a kind and generous man whose mission is to win souls for Christ.
This isn't the only church that he's helped out. He's helped lots of them. Yeah.
He does give a lot to the church sometimes, and he also gives a lot to a college out in Indiana.
Just down the road, the chorus comes from thousands of hens packed into cramped little cages. At Jack DeCoster's egg farm, human beings don't live much better.
A lot of them, they wanted to go back home, but they don't have no money to go back.
Next, we met Carlos, who last year reported the machine he was working on was broken. The next day, he went back to work and was told it was fixed. It wasn't.
And when I came here, I came, complete. And I need to live like that now.
Carlos is also angry at DeCoster's payroll policies, and he gave us a stack of workers' pay stubs. They showed workers can put in over 100 hours in 1 week, with none of it paid as overtime.
81 and a half hours, no overtime. 85 hours, no overtime. Unbelievable.
We're from Channel 8. We went to DeCoster's office to find out why, but no one there would talk to us.
Yeah. Let's see if I can get rid of them. That's what she just said. You want to get rid of us? We heard you say you wanted to get rid of us. I didn't say I wanted to get rid of you.
He actually is a good friend of mine. I never worked for him. I never would.
Why not?
Why not?